What's up, motherfuckers? Back again. 2 videos on one day, bitches. Because I was busy this weekend, and now it's time to talk about Smackdown. I'm glad that I made the Saudi Arabia video first today, because it put everything into context in my head. Because I watched Smackdown, I think the day, I think I watched it on Friday, which was the day that I also watched, I believe, fucking, what's it called? Crown Jewel. Maybe I watched Smackdown on Saturday. Who gives a fuck? The point is that they related in some very weird, abstract ways, right? And earlier today, I found out, I didn't really read the article, but I think there was some sort of problem, and a lot of WWE stars couldn't make it back from Saudi Arabia, like the ones that were going to be on SmackDown, I guess. But wait, wouldn't SmackDown have been... I don't know, is SmackDown live still? I don't even know. Either way, because of Saudi Arabia, it seems, there was a lot of people that were on Saudi Arabia were not on SmackDown, right? Luckily, they still had some good ones, right? That didn't go to Saudi Arabia, like Daniel Bryan, who doesn't want to go for like ethical reasons or whatever, right? So there was, they had enough stars. Or did they, motherfuckers? Or did they? The number one star of SmackDown, Brock Lesnar, comes out first with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman does his thing and he explains who he is. Like, everybody fucking knows. There's really no point in this like anymore, right? So he does, and he says that, like, based on the fact that Rey Mysterio beat that ass with a chair on Saudi Arabia, Brock Lesnar is now quitting SmackDown, motherfuckers, to go and hunt Rey Mysterio, because he's not allowed to just go on Raw, right, and like hang out there because he's signed with SmackDown. So he finds the very simple loophole. I'm going to quit SmackDown and then get signed by Raw, which is probably what's going to happen, right? Now, I hated this, right? Not only did I hate this because Brock Lesnar doesn't give a fuck about SmackDown, because I've always been a SmackDown guy, motherfuckers, right? So I want Brock Lesnar there. But also, this is convenient, because now the real title, the WWE title, can go on Raw, while SmackDown is left with the red title, the Universal title, which is now on fucking SmackDown. Are you kidding me? No, that doesn't make any sense, man. But this is how you explain it, motherfuckers. They didn't outright say it, but clearly that's where it's heading. Brock Lesnar is going to Raw, right? And then Bray Wyatt will be the champion of SmackDown. Now, Bray Wyatt, even though he has the inferior title by virtue of the fact that the Universal title is not prestigious at all, Bray Wyatt beat Seth Rollins, right? And kicked out of like a million stomps that Brock Lesnar could kick out of. So kayfabe, I'm supposed to believe that Bray Wyatt is better and more scary than Brock Lesnar, which is ridiculous. This thing served absolutely no purpose other than to say, this is enough. You've seen Brock Lesnar on SmackDown like 2 or 3 times. That's more than you ever thought you would. So now he's going back to Raw, motherfuckers. He's not here to waste any more time, right? That was short and simple. I hated it for the reasons that I just said. What else did we have? Now, there was a problem. There was a problem here, right? Like a general problem, which I guess relates a little bit to Brock Lesnar, but I'll make that point a little bit later, motherfuckers. Next, we had Bayley versus Nikki Cross. I skipped the majority of this match. Who gives a rat's ass, right? No one cares, except, motherfuckers, after the match, right? Who gives a rat's ass, again, who gives a rat, the match was whatever. Like, obviously, Sasha Banks isn't going to drop it on a random SmackDown to Nikki Cross, right? She wins with a Bayley to belly. But after the match, Shayna Baszler comes out. And everybody that's been listening to my NXT reviews knows that I am high on Shayna Baszler. I think she's fucking awesome. She looks like a bad broad. I even like Rhea Ripley. Like, the NXT women's division is tight. Like, it's not a bunch of like weirdos like Bayley and Sasha. Like, Bayley and Sasha are just 2 nerds. They're just like 2 girls that were never popular in high school, right? And honestly, because they're not that pretty. Let's just call it what it is, right? They were never like, nobody really liked them, right? And now they grew and they have like decent physiques because they work out, right? They still have like weird faces. And now they're like, oh, I followed my dreams. Like, I don't care. Fuck you. Fuck your dreams. Fuck Snoop Dogg. How do you like them apples? Anyways, Shayna Baszler, though, on the other hand, is just a bad broad, right? So, she just comes out and beats that ass. She just destroys Bayley, right? She hits like this running knee. It looked amazing, right? Now, I would have liked to see her do the Kirifuda clutch just because it fits more with her character, but so does this straight up beatdown, right? Just like a straight up beatdown of the SmackDown champion by the NXT champion, because obviously NXT is portrayed as the B leagues. They are the B leagues, right? Like they don't perform in WrestleMania. NXT guys, there's like one NXT guy at the Royal Rumble and he's not gonna win. So they are the B leagues. But this was like the B leagues are like pissed off at quote unquote, the A-Leagues, Smackdown, which is the B-Leagues as well. Now, this was cool, right? I enjoyed this. Like, in a vacuum, this is tight, right? We have, like, an invading force from NXT, Shayna Baszler, comes in and beats Bayley. Bayley is not exactly positioned as, like, the number one female in the company or anything like that. So it's understandable that, like, she loses, she gets her ass beat in a post-match beatdown to, what's-her-face? Shayna Baszler, right? All right, that was all right. Then Sami Zayn talks some shit, and Matt Riddle and Keith Lee, who are also there from NXT, beat that ass, right? Keith Lee hits a moonsault after Matt Riddle hits the Bro Derek on Sami Zayn. Now, here's the problem with this, motherfuckers. At this point, I started realizing, oh my God, I see what's happening here. There's going to be a lot of NXT motherfuckers on this show, ain't there? Right? And this might be, like I said, I had forgotten for a second the actual impact that being in Saudi Arabia would have. People are going to be tired. The ones that wrestled in Saudi Arabia aren't going to want to come back, or, you know, if SmackDown isn't live, they aren't going to want to wrestle on, you know, for SmackDown and then go to Saudi Arabia and wrestle on a Thursday, right? Like, the logistics behind it are weird. So maybe that's why these NXT people are here, to kind of fill the void, right? But between SmackDown and Raw, there was something that you could have done, right? You could have taken maybe like highlighted some of the cruiserweights or something like that, right? Do something, right? So you don't have to, like, you know, pretty much resort to what they resorted to, which was complete garbage by the end of the night, motherfuckers. I like Keith Lee, I like Matt Riddle, but the fact is that this made no sense. They pretty much came and beat up Sami Zayn because Sami Zayn talks a lot of shit. But the one good thing about this is that Sami Zayn is a jobber, and you know, he does deserve to be embarrassed in the worst ways possible. He's not good enough to do anything else. This is a good place for him to be. Just jobber. Now, here is when things really hit the fan. When shit really hit the fan. Miz TV was supposed to have Bray Wyatt, I think. But I don't know what happened. I guess Bray Wyatt, like, now he's the champion. And maybe he was, like, you know, in Saudi Arabia or whatever. Some shit went down, so it made no sense to have him here, right? Or maybe he couldn't make it. I don't know. So instead we have Tommaso Ciampa. Now, here's the difference. Tommaso Ciampa comes out, and Miz kind of puts him over by saying, like, people kept saying that me and you should have, like, a battle on the mic, right? And basically, like, you know, Tommaso Ciampa is like, Miz, you're just an actor. Like, I live it, right? I live it, you pretend to be it. It's some fucking nonsense, right? And Miz said the right thing. He said, if I've been acting for 15 years as a wrestler, I deserve a goddamn Academy Award. And this made me appreciate Miz so much, because in reality, that is true. Like, everyone has always, myself included, you know, when Miz came out, I'm like, who's this dork? Who's just like this idiot who's out here clearly just wants to use this as a stepping stone, right? To something greater. He wants to portray himself as, like, this A-lister now, right? He's always been goofy. He, like, initially, and even now to a degree, it didn't feel like he wanted to be there until he said, he's like, yo, if I've been acting this good, I deserve an Academy Award. And it's easy to forget that The Miz, at one point, motherfuckers, main evented WrestleMania. So I have a lot of respect for The Miz, actually. And I appreciate the fact that he's like, got to be in his late 30s. He comes in, he wrestles all the time, he puts on decent matches, he's great on the mic, he's charismatic, he looks good, he does all these things. And it's one thing when, you know, you're starting out as The Miz and JBL says, you suck, Miz, you know what I mean? And all the other shit. That I can understand that. JBL is like a big dude, he's a legend, he understands wrestling, right? He has respect in the locker room to a degree, and he's just breaking Miz's balls, right? But when Tommaso Ciampa comes and says the same thing to you, fucking Tommaso Ciampa, this guy is like he is like the anti-Miz. Miz has been in the company for like 15 years, right? Busting his ass, reliable, picking up, doing exactly what the company tells him to do. Exactly. They're like, you're going to be a jobber now. He's a jobber. You're going to wrestle Wade Barrett on the pre-show. He wrestles Wade Barrett on the pre-show. You're going to main event WrestleMania. He main events WrestleMania. Doesn't complain once. I'm not really on Twitter, but I don't see his Twitter being like, oh, I'm being held back. Miz is a real man. And I personally, like, feel horrible for judging him for being this, like, you know, reality TV show pussy. He's not at all. He is a real dude, man. He's a guy that came out there and did what he should have done. He took his lumps. He didn't quit, right? And he doesn't continuously talk about how he didn't quit. But this was a time when it was relevant to talk about how he didn't quit. Because now you have Tommaso Ciampa being like, I don't think you're like the real deal, Miz. Who the fuck are you, Tommaso Ciampa? Right? It's ridiculous, man. Just standing next to the Miz, Tommaso Ciampa looks like the jobber he is. I've seen Tommaso Ciampa in the Indies once or twice, and when I saw him, I'm like, man, this is a big dude, man, because he's jacked, you know, like he always was, and he looks like a psychopath. But then, like, he also wears like the boots that make him look like 3 or 4 inches taller. He's probably like 5'6", 5'7". He's not a big guy. He's muscular and he's strong, I'm sure. But next to the Miz, he does not look like a man, right? Like he could have his bald hair and his scraggly beard and muscles and kind of be like, I'm intimidating. But next to Miz, he just looks like an inferior human being. So for me to believe that Tommaso Ciampa would somehow intimidate the Miz is ridiculous, right? And I thought this is where things just really went bad with this NXT angle, because they set up a match, Miz versus Ciampa, right? All right, fine. I knew Ciampa was going to win, obviously, but I was like, all right, let's watch this a little bit, right? They have a back and forth. The match ends when Tommaso Ciampa hits the fairy tale ending, which I think is one of the greatest names for a finishing move ever. And I thoroughly enjoy it as a move, but the problem was that this time when he did it, motherfucks, he barely lifted Miz up. You know how like when Daniels lifts someone up for the Angel's wings, he lifts him all the way up so the body is completely vertical, right? Tommaso Ciampa lifted him up a little bit higher than like Triple H does in the pedigree when he jumps, right? A little bit higher. And he's dropped him down and he pinned Miz clean. Now, let's consider what I just said, motherfuckers. Tommaso Ciampa, an NXT guy, right? An NXT guy who's like, I'm proud to be NXT. You're proud to be NXT because you know that in the main roster, you're going to 205 Live or you are going to be jobbing out to the likes of like Bo Dallas in a matter of months because he is not good enough. And what bothered me was that not like I understand Tommaso Ciampa is playing a character. Obviously, he might be very good friends with The Miz in real life, and The Miz might really appreciate him, or they might hate each other. Who knows? Honestly, who gives a fuck? But what bothered me is that he propagated, like the character of Tommaso Ciampa, propagated this like indie jobber is better than someone like The Miz rhetoric, which is ridiculous. And what bothers me the most about it is that people actually agree with this sentiment. They actually agree, motherfuckers. They actually agree. And that is a huge problem. This encapsulated a lot, not everything that's wrong with wrestling, but a lot of it. This theory that if you're some 5'6" jobber named Tommaso Ciampa, who is by every metric inferior to The Miz, this guy is the most unreliable. Miz, for 15 years, busting his ass. Tommaso Ciampa has one match, out for 9 months. Oh, he's working hard to rehab. This guy is like, he's not a tough guy by any metric, right? He's a dude who has a match and then is injured for 9 months. Like, he's been in WWE for like 5 years. It feels like he's been there for 4 months. Always injured, man. Always injured. The Miz, always reliable. The Miz is a guy, once again, that main evented WrestleMania, right? Now, I understand. The WrestleMania that Miz main evented wasn't about him. It was the beginning of the John Cena Rock angle, right? It was about John Cena more than it was about him and about The Rock. But that doesn't matter, motherfuckers. He was the guy that was there, and he was the one that won. He won a WrestleMania main event. There's been, 35 WrestleManias? One of them was closed out with The Miz winning, right? Only for him to now lose to Tommaso Ciampa, who gets injured after having a match with, like, Roderick Strong, right? Who both look like beta male compared to The Miz, you know? And again, I'm not this, like, huge Miz fan by any means, right? But I am starting to learn to appreciate The Miz for what he is. He is reliable, and he doesn't bitch and moan like everybody else. Everybody else just bitches and moans, right? No. I do not like this at all as a concept. Next, we had Fire and Desire, motherfuckers, versus Rhea Ripley and Tegan Nox. Another fucking NXT match. And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is going on? At this point, it's beyond absurd. It started being beyond absurd, honestly, when Matt Riddle and Keith Lee came out. But even that, you can be like, all right, I'll let this one slide, you know? But when Tommaso Ciampa comes in and has like an impromptu match, all right, fine. You can let it slide. It's an impromptu match. But now all of a sudden they have booked matches already? Fire and Desire versus 2 NXT jobbers? Guess who wins, motherfuckers? The NXT jobbers once again bury SmackDown. Now again, they buried some B-list SmackDowners, but it is what it is. They won with when Nox hit the shiniest wizard And what's her face? Rhea Ripley did like essentially an inverted cloverleaf, which is a move that I invented in my head when I was a teenager. I was like, well, what if someone does the cloverleaf this way? But nobody gave me credit, motherfuckers. So there you go. Then at some point there was some vignette. I didn't take notes for this because it was late, but I remember what happened. I know there was a vignette where Daniel Bryan pretty much says to Triple H, yo, Triple H, because Triple H and Shawn Michaels are there, and he's like, if you're looking for a fight, I'm here to fight, right? And Triple H is like, I don't need to fight you, I'm Triple H, blah, 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 blah. But I have Adam Cole here to fight you. So the match is set up, Adam Cole versus Daniel Bryan for the NXT title. Now, obviously, Daniel Bryan isn't going to be demoted to NXT, become NXT champion. But you never know, right? It was possible, and I like the fact that the title was on the line. Now, here's the issue. Once again, this ends with an NXT jobber, Adam Cole, defeating a guy that closed WrestleMania and arguably, to some people, closed what they consider to be one of the best WrestleManias. I thought it was shit myself. But the fact remains that on that night, Daniel Bryan beat Triple H and then beat Batista and Orton at the same time, right? Only to lose to Adam Cole. Are you fucking kidding me? That's the problem with wrestling. It's just kind of nonsense. And then the show closed with Triple H hugging a few like NXT people and being like, we are NXT. What do you mean we are NXT? 2 weeks ago, you were on Raw. Triple H competes at WrestleMania still. Like, this brand loyalty with NXT is ridiculous. And he said he alluded to some sort of Survivor Series, like Raw versus Smackdown versus NXT, right? Now, what about War Games, which is before, I think the night before Survivor Series? What about that? Are people going to pull double duty? I don't know. So, there you go. It was not great. The match was all right. I don't particularly think that Adam Cole should have won, nor do I think that Daniel Bryan deserves to like become NXT champion or have any kind of championship anymore. But the fact is what it is, right? There was no need for this, right? This show, this felt like the only thing that this sets up, in my opinion, is if on Wednesday, right? Now SmackDown invades NXT, right? Or Raw or like NXT invades Raw and then Raw and SmackDown invade NXT or some type of thing like that, right? Because NXT, quite frankly, doesn't have the kind of talent to legitimately compete against like SmackDown or Raw. And here's where I get back to Brock Lesnar, right? Why the fuck, right? If NXT wants to make a statement, right? If Adam Cole had any balls, right? Why the hell is Triple H saying, all right, Adam, you will show that NXT is awesome by beating and wrestling and then subsequently beating Daniel Bryan, right? How about this? How about when Brock Lesnar comes out, Adam Cole's music hits, and he says, Brock Lesnar, I'm the real champion, right? Now, the reason this wouldn't happen is because of it would be the most ridiculous thing ever to have Adam Cole beat Brock Lesnar. I believe in my heart of hearts that if I were to fight Adam Cole in any kind of fight, I would beat his ass. I would have probably very few problems just choking this guy out. I really think I could, right? Brock Lesnar would end me in about 3 seconds. And Adam Cole is at the point of unbelievable wrestler, right? Same thing with Daniel Bryan, at least he's a little bit, muscular. But Adam Cole is so much of a normal guy, right, that there's no reason to think at all that this guy could beat up anybody serious. That's why you're not going to put him against Brock Lesnar. But if NXT wants to make a point, right, Shayna Baszler went after the women's champion. And the reason she did is because she is physically superior to the women's champion, so it makes sense. Adam Cole has to go after Daniel Bryan. He can't go after, Brock Lesnar. Also, why the hell would Brock Lesnar even give a shit about the NXT title? Brock Lesnar barely cares about the WWE title, right? So that's the thing that sucked about it. This SmackDown, it was presented to be this epic thing, but it felt weak. Everyone in NXT beat everyone in SmackDown, which leads us to the question of, during the draft, why the fuck were people like Fire and Desire, Daniel Bryan, and The Miz even drafted when you could have potentially made some deals to get the likes of Tommaso Ciampa, right? Who is beating The Miz like he's nothing, right? Some 5'7" guy beating The Miz like he's nothing, right? There's a big problem with that, motherfuckers, right? It also legitimizes dumb shit like Prince Devitt or Finn Balor going to NXT now. It's like, oh, NXT is the place to be. Like, Leo Rush was there to attack some people. Get the fuck out of here. Leo Rush's purpose is to just go out there with Bobby Lashley, and when Bobby Lashley gets mad, he just does like a Uranagi on Leo Rush and just lays him out there, and that should be his purpose. It's not this like invading force of jobbers. Get the fuck out of here. It's stupid, man. It made no sense, you know? And if you're going to do all this, right, the only way that this could be even more remotely tolerable would be if you have real stars, like the real good ones from NXT. Like, for example, Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, the big guys, fucking Damian Priest, and most importantly, fuckers, the Velveteen Dream. Have these people come in, have Velveteen Dream beat, like, if Velveteen Dream beat The Miz, that'd be like, all right, that's fine, I'm cool with that, right? Because Velveteen Dream was the former, North American champion, and Velveteen Dream is clearly going to be a big star in WWE in the future, right? Not like fucking Tommaso Ciampa, who in 1 week might be gone for another 10 months because he hurt his toe or something. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it, and also Velveteen Dream is a big athletic guy, so it's like, all right, like, I can see it. It makes sense, right? But when you have an invasion where the average height of men is about 5'7", and the average height of women is about 5'9", for some reason, right? It doesn't look serious, man. The entire NXT men's roster that came out, except for Keith Lee and Matt Riddle, every one of them is a tiny, tiny human, man. They're like a bunch of Adam Coles, Roderick Strongs, fucking Leo Rush, these little jobbers. Like Brock Lesnar could destroy all of them by himself, right? Why the fuck would SmackDown be intimidated by Leo Rush? Are you kidding me? Send like fucking Nakamura and he can kick his head off and that could be the end of that. You know, or like Samoa Joe or one of these like bigger dudes who just beat the shit out of these jabrones. So that's the issue that I had with this. I did not like it, motherfuckers. It was not entertaining to me to see these NXT jobbers come out and Triple H be like, "We are NXT." Yeah, we get it. You're the D leagues, and you don't want to be the D leagues anymore. So you came and you attacked everyone for no reason. So go fuck yourself, NXT. I don't like you, and I want to like you because there's some good people on NXT. The majority of whom were not on the show or were only there to beat up like Sami Zayn. So my issue is exactly what I just said. And my problem, my real problem with this is that on Wednesday, now I am more enticed, I really am, more enticed to watch AEW than I am to watch NXT, right? Because unless like John Cena appears on NXT and beats like everybody, I couldn't give a shit, you know? At least, you know, AEW is going to have like the go home show for Full Gear. So there you go. There you have it, motherfuckers. Be on the lookout. We keep growing. We keep ranting, motherfuckers. Now, I've recorded these videos a little bit early in the day. So by tonight, there's a possibility I might do a rant on something non-wrestling related. So, yeah. Thanks a lot for hearing me out, motherfuckers. Fuck NXT and fuck all y'alls. Take the cocks out of your own ass and stick it up your own mouths. All right, motherfuckers?